All right, everybody. I am finally back for a new video. Um, and I have a massive update about Superman. And none of it I gotta I'm just gonna be blunt here, guys. This movie is gonna be a shit show. And I know I've been saying that all along. I know if you've watched my videos, that Superman, that I very much believe that this movie is going to damage the DC brand for years to come. And I'm going to prove that to you guys in this video. I am going to prove to you guys that Superman, this movie is already dead on arrival. We just got a new plot leak for Superman, and from what I understand, and it is exactly as I feared, and it is all true. I can, and that is what I'm going to be proving to you guys in this video. So let's get started. First off, I want to bring up. I have a lot to talk about in this video. I want to talk about the CinemaCon. And the CinemaCon took place. The CinemaCon took place just a couple days ago. And everyone is in agreement that the Superman panel was very disappointing. And I'm going to read to you guys something that I have here. I'm going to read to you guys something that I have here. And it says here, and this was something that I found on X. It was someone who actually attended, the Superman panel. And it says here, Superman panel went on for far too long, with there being no other DC updates after. Nothing but montage clips on Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 2 and Conjuring 4. Despite some highlights, Warner Brothers just gave the weakest presentation of CinemaCon thus far. And then another person said, shouldn't be this boring and awkward during this Superman part of the panel. And then another person here said that Superman panel was underwhelming. It was nothing new, just a bunch of stuff we already knew. It was your one chance to tell us new things about the movie and the rest of the DCU slate, and you didn't do that, James. What a disappointment. So, so there you guys have it. There is no hype for this movie. As I've been saying all along. The suit looks fucking atrocious. The suit looks like, a wetsuit with a diaper over it. It looks, it looks like bad cosplay. The costumes all around, they look like very bad cosplay. And I want to bring up, and I want to bring something else up because I feel like this is important. James Gunn just completely destroyed Warner Brothers Discovery's marketing strategy for the movie. Now, as of right now, it doesn't look like that we're going to be getting a second trailer for this movie. Right now, all we have is a teaser trailer, and it looks like that's all we're going to be getting. Because everyone was obviously expecting, a new Superman trailer to be screened at the CinemaCon. And obviously, CinemaCon is over now, and we didn't get a second trailer. We didn't get, we didn't get our first official trailer for this movie. And remember, guys, this movie comes to theaters in 3 months. This movie hits theaters July 11th of this year. And what James Gunn just did is, so Warner Brothers' idea of marketing for this movie is they are going to be showing the first 5 minutes of this movie with Minecraft. And James Gunn, and again, this literally just happened yesterday, he screened he leaked that entirety, he leaked that entire 5 minutes of the film that they were going to screen, with Minecraft. I mean, talk about a fucking narcissist. He just literally completely destroyed Warner Brothers Discovery's, marketing strategy for this movie. Now, obviously, am I defending the fact that we're not getting a second trailer? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it should show you just how little faith, Warner Brothers has in this movie. Warner Brothers fucking sucks at promoting their stuff. And, and the fact that they are not promoting this movie should tell you something. It should tell you that they know how fucked they are. But no, I want to bring up the plot leak, and I'm going to read that to you guys right now. And then I have something else here regarding the movie. But first, let me read to you guys the plot leak. Because this is so fucking ridiculous. I can't believe that this is what we're getting. Yeah, so let me read this to you guys. Superman is taken to the Fortress of Solitude, healed by the robots that work there. Lex Luthor and his team are introduced. They hate Superman and devise a plan to eliminate him, involving a partnership with the government of a foreign nation to take over a smaller country, a political metaphor. Luthor equals Elon Musk, corrupt country equals Russia, small country equals Ukraine. And I want to talk, I want to break this down. I want to break this part of it down because I feel like it's worth mentioning. James Gunn is doing exactly what he said he wouldn't do. Remember, guys, what James Gunn says versus what James Gunn does are two very different things. For example, James Gunn said, that he wasn't going to go, goofy stupid with Superman. And that's exactly what he's doing. And I'm going to be talking, I'm obviously going to be, explaining how in this video. But another thing that he said he wouldn't do, he said he wouldn't bring fucking political metaphors and politics into it. And here he is doing exactly that. Not good. Anyway, yeah, so at the Daily Planet, Jimmy Olsen behaves as expected, but with a twist. Girls obsessively fawn over him and he can't escape their attention. What that has to do with Superman, I have no fucking clue. Or what that has to do with the plot, but wait until you hear this. I'll be getting into that later. At the Daily, I already read that. Lois questions how Clark consistently gets interviews with Superman, creating some tension. Lois goes to her apartment at night and finds Clark there. It is revealed they've been dating. They've been secretly dating for 3 months, and she knows he's Superman. their tension is all part of a cute role play thing at work, which is just beyond fucking stupid. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. Um, in her living room, Lois complains about Clark always interviewing Superman. She playfully turns on her microphone to record him, starting as a cute game, but starting as a cute game, but devolving into a long domestic argument about foreign policy and Superman's involvement. Lex Luthor releases monsters into the city to fight Superman, who defeats them. The Justice Gang appears and helps in the fight. They are basically the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, there's a big fucking surprise, right? Um, um, Lex Luthor has access to a pocket universe where he traps people he hates, including ex-girlfriends. Um, he violently beats Crypto uh, and takes him to this universe. Somehow, Superman ends up trapped there too. Lois and the Justice Gang discover Superman's location in the pocket universe through Jimmy, who has been secretly sexting Luthor's girlfriend. Um, she's obsessed with Superman, and her provocative photos unintentionally reveal some confidential data. Superman eventually escapes the pocket universe by flying through pixelated lava, which looks like Minecraft. Superman saves some people and fights the foreign army, earning forgiveness from others, which I will also be explaining what that means in this video. Um, the best action scene, as good as the hallway scene in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, involves Mr. Terrific. Superman learns about Luthor's plan with the foreign nation. He informs the government, but Luthor counters. But Luthor counters by revealing he clones Superman. A fight ensues between Superman and his clone, who shares his DNA and could access the Fortress of Solitude. Superman defeats the clone, and Luthor is taken to jail. Superman returns to the foreign nation, where a drunken sorority version of Supergirl appears to reclaim Crypto, her dog. She has asked Superman to watch him for the week. Superman sits back and asks to see his family again, but instead of Jor-El, it is his human family. So that is the plot leak for Superman. And this sounds like the stupidest fucking thing James Gunn has ever done. I'm telling you guys right now, nobody is going to cater to this. The general audience, the diehard fans, they are not going to cater to this at all. It's like, go watch, the first two, Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner, Superman movies. Go watch, Superman Returns. Go watch Man of Steel. All of those movies were taken seriously. Yes, some of those movies might have had, humorous moments in them, but they were not flat out comedies. This is exactly what James Gunn said he wouldn't do. He said he wouldn't. This is exactly what James Gunn said he wouldn't do. He said he wouldn't go fucking goofy. And that's exactly what he's doing. I try to tell I try telling people this online. James Gunn is a one-trick pony. Team up movies with fucking goofy, stupid bullshit. That is all he knows how to do. He is a one-trick pony. And it turns out And it turns out that, um, and it turns out that, and I also want to bring up the Superman footage. I want to bring up the Superman, the Superman footage. That footage opens. That footage opens, like that teaser trailer opened with Superman, with Superman, you know, uh, with Superman coming, crashing out of the sky, wounded, wounded and beaten up. And then he calls, and then he calls, Crypto over. However, that, however, that, however, the scene in the, that scene in the trailer is actually a lot more humorous than than we were led to believe. And it turns out that when he calls Crypto over, it's like when dogs, it's like when, it's like when your owner is injured, like when your dog is, like if an owner, if your owner, like if something is wrong with you physically, your dog knows. Like my dog, for example, like my dog, like for example, like my dog, like when I'm, like when I'm upset or when or if I'm sick or whatever, my dog catches on to that. She knows, whether or not, something is wrong with me. Um, when, or if, for example, for example, if my mom is sick, like she'll know, like she can catch on to that. So when Crypto, you know, um, so with this fucking footage though, when Superman comes crashing out of the sky and he calls, Crypto over, he immediately starts jumping on Superman. He starts, jumping on him, wanting to play, and and literally starts fucking beating him up, injuring him further. This is a this is not, um and this is exactly the kind of bullshit that James Gunn said he wouldn't do, and and he is literally doing exactly what he said he wouldn't do. And and there's no way now, of course, the fucking dog people are gonna be like, oh, that's oh, look at the dog, he's trying to play. It's like, it's like you have a fucking injured Superman on the ground, beaten up, you know, bloodied, beaten up, who needs help, and and you have a dog, who's literally, fucking, beating him up further. I mean, I mean, it's like, if somebody, like if somebody, is laying there, beaten up and bloodied, who needs help, are you going to come over? It's like, are you going to fucking come over, and beat the shit out of them while they're down? No, you're going to help them. Or, you're going to get them help. It's like, I'm so fucking tired of James Gunn. I, d- it's like, it's like only, it's like only a fucking narcissist like this, would do something like this. I mean, and it's not, and it's not like they couldn't, it's not like they couldn't have, and it's not like, it's not like they couldn't have, still included Crypto in the movie. You know, it's not like they still couldn't have done that, but still could have taken it seriously. Like maybe, like what I would have done is, and crypto now crypto is not a character that I'm completely familiar with. Um most of the most of the Superman comics that I've read don't don't have crypto in them, but um but the but the various adaptations of him, like some of the cartoons, and then some of the DC shows that have had him in it, how crypto was portrayed in that, um yeah, it gives me, a pretty good idea of how, of how the character is supposed to be depicted. And from what I understand, Crypto has the intelligence of a human being. Like, he is a very, very, like, for a dog, he is very, very intelligent. And um so what I would have done was, when Superman, comes, crashing out of the sky, and, he calls Crypto over, you know, you Crypto should be there, like, wanting to help him. He should be there, he should come over, he should be, like, when he calls him over, Crypto, like, should be upset. Like, like, he should come over, like, whining. Maybe, maybe have him, maybe have him come over and lick, Superman's face, have him acknowledge, uh have him know that Superman needs help, that he's injured, and when he asks, Crypto to take him home, you know maybe have him, maybe have him, maybe have him take him to the Fortress of Solitude with, with, like, some very dramatic, very sad music playing in the background. But no, Jay, because, but no, that's too much to ask for, because James Gunn, being James Gunn, he needs to make everything into a fucking joke. He needs to, uh, he needs to, what I just said, that would actually make, for a compelling story. That would actually make sense. And Gunn, and Gunn, obviously being Gunn, he can't do that. That's too much to ask for. I and the and the Crypto, the Crypto take me home scene, he is literally dragging Superman, across the, across the snow. uh, and the entire thing is fucking goofy. And then when they are when they are in the Fortress of Solitude, Superman is, and he's using, and he's getting, because remember, guys, the sun, the yellow sun is obviously what gives, Superman his powers. And um and the so when he's in the Fortress of Solitude, absorbing, sun radiation, Superman is used Superman is literally screaming in pain, like he's having an orgasm. And it's like, what the it's like, what the fuck is this? I mean, you know I never, ever, ever, ever has Superman ever screamed in pain when absorbing yellow sun radiation. So what the fuck is this? This this movie is a fucking joke. This movie is not going to resonate with Superman fans. It's not, and it's not going to resonate with the general audience. You know, everybody, everybody and their mother knows who Superman is. Everybody knows who Superman is and what he stands for. He is he is obviously, he's the ultimate good guy. He's the ultimate Boy Scout. Uh, he doesn't kill, he doesn't lie, he doesn't do, questionable things that other characters, obviously, characters like Batman would do. He's the type of character that, you know, he's the type of person that no matter what, is going to do the right thing, even if it's a hard one. That is who Superman is. And James Gunn, and James Gunn, and James Gunn, has never taken these characters seriously. He has never been true to the comics, or let alone true to the characters. He has never respected the characters or the source material. It's like I said, every single character that Gunn has worked with is a bastardized version of what the character is from the comics. And James Gunn can say whatever he wants. He can say that he loves superheroes and comics or what, and whatever, but looking at the way that he treats these characters and the way that he does these movies completely contradicts that statement. Because if you look at Man of Steel, if you look at Batman versus Superman, look at the way Snyder treated those characters. Look at the opening scene of BVS when Bruce Wayne's parents are murdered. That scene is literally a perfect recreation of the flashback scene from when Bruce's parents were murdered in Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Perfect recreation. Perfect. Literally a frame by frame recreation of that scene. James Gunn has never done anything like that. Never. In the entire time that he's done comic book adaptations or comic book movies, he's never done anything like that. Everything is a fucking joke. Everything. And it is a fact that these characters perform better and resonate better with the audience when they are taken seriously. It is a fact. The Dark Knight trilogy, Aquaman, or the first Aquaman, the first Wonder Woman, Joker, the Batman, Man of Steel, BVS, all of those movies made money. All of those movies resonated with the audience because they were taken seriously. When Walter Hamada came aboard and we started getting things, like Shazam 2, Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2, The Flash, those were all turned into a fucking comedy. And a result of that, they lost their audience and lost money. Because people want to see these characters taken seriously. And I think I said this in my Batman Begins review, but I am old enough to remember when that movie, around the time that the movie was coming out, and there was all this, skepticism, and there was all this, apprehension about a new Batman movie, because obviously The previous two Batman movies obviously were Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, and those were goofy. Warner Brothers turned those movies, into a joke. And I remember hearing that, when Christian Bale was cast as Batman, he was getting laughed at. He was getting made fun of because those two previous Batman movies were all we had before before this. And he literally had to reassure people, no, that's not what we're doing. We're going to take it seriously. So, so that, so people, so the gun tards, can come out and say whatever they want. They can say, oh, but look at the critic scores of fucking, Creature Commandos. Look at the fucking, critic scores for, the Suicide Squad. Look at the money that Guardians made. Yeah. Critic scores, I'm getting so fucking tired of telling people this. Critic scores do not bring people to the theater. They are not what movie studios look at, and they are not what sell movie tickets. Period. And what's going to matter at the end of the day is how many tickets are sold. How many people go to the movies to see this piece of shit? And I'm telling you right now, the way that Warner Brothers is not promoting this movie. They're not. They are not promoting this movie. We don't, we don't have an official trailer out. I know I've said this before, but I go to the movies quite often, and I still have yet to see the Superman, the Superman teaser trailer, let alone a fucking poster up in the theater. I mean, I still haven't even seen the Superman teaser trailer on TV. Remember, guys, we're 3 months away from release. 3 months. But I want to bring up, one sec, guys, sorry. Okay, and then I want to bring up, I want to talk about the test screenings, because I feel that that's worth mentioning. Oh, and here's another reaction here. It says, just to keep expectations in check. The response I heard directly from Warner Brothers was decidedly less glowing than Daniel's post. Now, Daniel RPK is a very, 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 very reliable insider. And I can't believe I actually completely forgot to mention this. Daniel RPK is saying very, very glowing things about Superman on X. However, on Discord, he is singing a very, very different tune. Now, Discord is obviously, a private server, and there are things on Discord that you obviously can't say on X. Now, on Discord, he is saying that the test screenings have not been good, that people are not that the reactions, have not been positive. So let me read this here. So, not to say it went terribly, but it is a divisive film. with a particularly silly tone. Some people click with it, some people seem to bounce right off. And for a company on the verge of bankruptcy right now, for a company on the verge of bankruptcy right now in $30 million in debt, that's not enough. This movie needs to knock it out of the park. And I'm telling you right now, that's not going to happen. It's not. This movie is not going to save Warner Brothers. It's not going to save the DC brand. But yeah, let me bring up the test screening results. Let me bring up the test screening results. Let me bring up the test screening results. Let me find it. Hang on. Here it is. So this comes from World of Real. This comes from World of Real, and it says another negative Superman reaction. A few days ago, I reported about a lack of enthusiasm that seemed to have greeted a recent screening of James Gunn's Superman. I was just relying on reports from a handful of insiders, and sadly, a word of mouth coming out of the screenings just wasn't very good. Here's another reaction from a trusted source of mine who attended a California screening of the film. So you guys get that? This guy actually attended a screening for the movie. He was actually there. And it says here, he seemed rather annoyed by the unusually high screen time of Superman's dog, Krypto. Overall, the story fell flat for him. And that's another thing. Warner Brothers is promoting Krypto more than they are promoting, Superman himself, which is unbelievable. And then this I couldn't believe. This I found very, very, very interesting. It also sounds like Gunn. No doubt, due to the studio feedback, has now shaved off some 20 minutes from the previous screened cut, which occurred back in March. The film now has a runtime of just a little under 2 hours. So originally, the original runtime for the movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes. And now this report is saying that they've removed 20 minutes of the movie. So, so that alone should tell you guys right there that Warner Brothers knows how fucked they are. And here's another reaction. I thought it was a real mixed bag. The audience reaction was mixed to negative. A genuinely earnest comic book movie in the sense that it plays out as a week with Superman when he's at a crossroads and what his purpose is, with scandals about him plaguing the media and his relationships being tested by the boundaries being Clark and being Superman. One thing I did find a bit confusing was how big of a part Krypto was to the film. He brings humor and heart, but it's almost jarring at times how much it feels like a Superman Krypto movie. The action felt a little lackluster, but I'm not sure if it's because I've been oversaturated with comic book CGI slog, or but the set pieces at least looked interesting. There's definitely a lot going on for a movie that's 2 hours. A good amount of setting, very much in the vein of the MCU, which was one of my other biggest worries. which was one of my other biggest worries. Which was one of my other, biggest worries, because, again, if you've watched, my Marvel rants and stuff like that, you know how sick and tired I am of Marvel. Um, 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 I really wanted to like it. I quite liked Gunn's last two movies, but this felt like a mix of both, uh, with the charm lacking a bit. And it says here, I'd previously spoken to a few attendees of this very screening, and not one had a positive reaction to the film. That's that's saying something. That's a lot. Um, which begs me to ask: is Warner Brothers now in full blown panic mode when it comes to Superman? I mean, I'm I mean, honestly, you want my honest opinion? It would not surprise me at all. I really, really think they are in full blown panic mode. Um, a few weeks ago, a report indicated that Superman, or at least a cut of the or at least the cut that was shown on the Warner lot, was kind of a mess. It went on to claim that Warner was indeed starting to get nervous about the $200 million film. Um, it it's not even the budget that Warner. It's not even the budget that Warner's. It's not even the budget that Warner should be nervous about. If Superman fails, then Gunn's plans DCU could very well crumble alongside it. Um, um, it's not even the oh wait, no, never mind. Sorry, I lost my place, guys. Um, Warner Brothers is betting all of its clips uh, on this one movie to kickstart a new era of superhero movies for them. Uh, they want they want their own MCU, but with superhero fatigue and full throttle, their time to their timing to launch the DCU might not be in their favor. And and guys, I've been saying this all along. I've been saying this all along here on the channel, that this movie is going to damage the DC brand for a very long time. This movie is going to it's going to kill Gunn's career. It's definitely going to kill David Cornsweet's career, and I feel incredibly bad for David Cornsweet. Because because I very much do think that, under anybody else, he would make a seriously kick-ass Superman. He would. He looks like Superman. It just, it makes me sad that he got, that he's been given, such a shitty deal, by working with, an egomaniac like James Gunn. And I mean, if you guys aren't convinced at this point that this movie's going to be a shit show, then I'm sorry, guys. I can't, I can't help you. If you guys are, if you guys are still, anyone here, who is watching this that might be convinced that the movie is good, let me tell you guys are in for a rude awakening when this movie comes out, because nobody asked for a reboot. Nobody asked for, like, look at, Warner Brothers is all about rebooting. We had we had the most incredible thing with the Snyderverse, and then after Justice League, they fucked over Zack Snyder, after he stepped away, due to a family tragedy. And then they brought in, and then they brought in fucking Walter Hamada. They turned everything into a fucking comedy, and the ticket sales tanked. And now they're, and James Gunn, and James Gunn said that he wouldn't be looking to make the same mistakes as the MCU. And that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. And and again, I mean, and again, James Gunn is all about James Gunn. It's all he cares about. It's all about what he wants. Nothing else matters. And and I'm tired of it. I'm just, I did. And again, if you watch my videos, you know that I absolutely despise James Gunn. I despise him as a person. I despise him as a filmmaker. Um, I just, but I mean, this movie is just, the backlash. I have never seen a comic book movie made fun of literally from the point literally from the point of its reveal, literally up until the point that it was coming out. I've never seen anything like I've never seen a comic book movie like that. I've never seen anything like that, where this, where something like this happened, and then the movie came out, and then it ended up blowing people away. You know why? Because there's no such thing. There is no such thing. The difference between this, the difference between this and now, granted, I wasn't alive when this happened, but I know a lot of people made fun of, I know a lot of people made fun of Tim Burton's Batman, you know, way back when it was coming out. Everyone was making fun of, Michael Keaton when he was first cast as Batman. But the difference between that and this is Michael Keaton, Tim Burton, he did what nobody was expecting. He Michael Keaton, for those of you who don't know, when he was cast as Batman, he was coming off of, he was coming off of comedic roles, comedic, romantic comedy type, uh, roles before he came on as Batman. But he did, but Tim Burton did, what no one was expecting. He took Batman seriously. With this is different because we already have more than enough proof out there. We already have more than enough evidence out there to show that James Gunn is not taking this seriously. He's not. He's not taking any of this seriously, and I knew he wouldn't. Because James Gunn is a one-trick pony. But and I'm so sick and tired of this shit. I really am. And and you know and I and I can tell you guys for a fact now that this movie's going to fail. I absolutely can. I can tell you guys for a fact that this movie is going to fail. But yeah, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know uh what you think of all this, what you think of James Gunn Superman, of everything that I just said. I will be keeping you guys posted, obviously. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.